and today I'm going to talk to you about morning sickness. Oh, definitely one of the worst times in my life. For me, it started at around 6 weeks, and it started with excessive amounts of salivating. I didn't know what was happening, but I just had to spit all the time. When I was walking to work, when I was walking to the train station, I was just spitting like a chav on the street. When I was home, I got so fed up with like running to the sink to spit out that I had a cup or a bowl next to me that I would spit in. Just so disgusting. I also found that I really needed to take deep breaths. This did help control the nausea to a certain extent, but I just felt like I really needed to inhale and exhale just in order to function really. So those were the first couple of signs. But that salivating grew into throwing up, and that became one of the signs that I knew I was about to throw up. Unfortunately, the first time that I did start retching, if you've watched my first video on my first 12 weeks of pregnancy, you'll see that I was sick on stage. My first time experiencing physical morning sickness was on stage at the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden. Luckily, it was just a dress rehearsal. We were doing Marilyn. I was doing a really nice part of the Empress, and this was a dance with my ladies in waiting. And towards the end of that little dance, before a big pas de deux, I just started retching. I got off stage as soon as I could. Someone brought a garbage can over, and it just continued for like 2 minutes. And then what was pretty funny, and looking back now, was that my partner, who I was about to do a pas de deux with, he said to the orchestra, "Stop, stop, the Empress is ill." So that, I mean, he's Italian, and he had this beautiful Italian accent, and just to hear that was hilarious, despite the misery I was in at the time. So this was, for me, probably one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, because not only was the entire Royal Ballet Company there, all the wig staff were there, all the costume staff were there, all the stage staff were there, the full Royal Opera House Orchestra was there, I think the school was even watching, we had a photographer in, someone was filming it. I mean, it really couldn't have been worse unless it was during an actual show. I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have never been able to perform there again. Anyways, again, it got worse from there. The next day, I was sick on the platform at Clapham Junction, and I had eaten quite a bit for breakfast that day because I had a long day ahead, and just everything came up. So disgusting. One of the platform attendants came up to me and was like, "Are you okay, ma'am?" I'm sure he thought that I was like drunk from the night before and hungover. But the worst part is you can't tell people. So, you know, I just felt like I was jinxing it if I was even telling the platform attendant. So that's also one of the hardest parts, that I couldn't tell the entire company that I was sick because it's morning sickness. They probably all thought I had the flu. Actually, looking back now and talking to them, they obviously knew something was up other than just being sick. So it did get worse from there. That was around 8 weeks. I continued dancing into my 9th week, but then I had to stop. I couldn't keep any food down. I couldn't keep any fluids down, and I just felt so depleted. All my colleagues were like, you know, "You're looking really gaunt, you're really pale," and I myself was just, I could hardly communicate with people at this point, never mind dance on stage in these like really tight costumes. So I spent what ended up being about the next 4 weeks at home on the sofa. I was throwing up about 2-3 times a day initially, but then it got worse. And at its worst was about 6 times a day. And it was then when I thought I should probably do something. And all my close friends were like, "You should go into hospital. Like, you're going to be missing so many nutrients, you're dehydrated, you know, and I totally was completely not myself. I would spend my days on the sofa in my pajamas. I couldn't think. I couldn't even watch a box set because I couldn't focus. I ended up staring at a blanket for most of my days. And the highlight would be, not the highlight, my main activity of the day would be going and having a shower. And that, I couldn't even do that every day. That happened like every 2-3 days. And when I did go have a shower, that was like the only time I would see myself without any clothes on. And I would see like my heart actually pounding out of my chest. And that, of course, was worse after I'd been in the shower because the heat, it would race even more and the heartbeat would be even stronger. So that was also worrying. So the reason why I didn't go into hospital was because, one, the thought of getting there and facing people and the public. And I know I would have been sick in front of people, and it just would have mentally scarred me again and even more. Two was waiting. I knew I'd have to wait. And again, being surrounded by people in a hospital, I'd worry about the germs and all that. And then three, at the end of the day, yes, it would hydrate me, but I would still be in the same place, not being able to keep food down simply because of hormone levels and that. So probably not the best decision. Always talk to your doctor. And so I didn't end up going. But what I did end up doing was calling my GP. We had a phone call appointment, and she prescribed me 2 medications, metoclopramide to take 3 times a day. That's for nausea and vomiting, and ranitidine, which was 2 times a day, and that's an antacid. These helped me within 24 hours, and I was like, hallelujah. Because finally I could eat just small portions, but finally I could eat food again. And gradually I got braver with what I was eating, and it was like, it felt like a miracle. Just such a relief to be able to eat again. So that was around week 11 when I started these meds. And by week 12, after we had our scan, I was able to go into work again because I felt well enough to be able to, 1, and 2, I was finally allowed to tell people. So I could finally confess to where I had been for the past month, which was nowhere exciting, and as to why I was sick on stage. So that was a huge relief, and it was so nice to be able to see people again and to socialize, and that definitely helped with the distraction of the bit of nausea that I still had left. Now, since then, I've continued to be sick every morning. I throw up acid. Sorry to go into details, but every morning when I wake up, I throw up it's like a clear white substance. And yeah, it's disgusting. But lately, the past couple weeks, I'm 17 weeks now. So the past couple weeks, I've had a few times where it's been pretty orange, like orange juice orange. So I was a little bit worried, but I spoke to my GP, and I spoke to my GP at work, as well as my midwife, and none of them were that concerned, which is a big relief because I was like, how's this gone from clear to orange? Just, you know. But they're not worried. They said, oh, you can throw up blood and it'll still be normal. So I know, gosh, there's a lot more people worse off than me, I'm sure. Anyways, I started going back into work, and I started gently doing some exercise. I wanted to get back into my normal routine for my body physically, because you should continue with what you're used to doing. I'm not used to being on the sofa for 24 hours a day. So I started with Pilates and a bit of ballet class, a bit of cross trainer, and that just felt so good to be moving again and not to be sick. So I have a newfound appreciation for mums and mums-to-be because, oh, morning sickness and pregnancy so far has been really tough. I'm hoping the worst is over, well, until like labor. I know that's gonna be pretty bad. Oh dear. Guys, I'm so sorry, baby brain. I totally forgot to talk about the foods that I ate and what helped and what didn't. And to be quite frank, the reason why I forgot is probably because nothing really helped. I took everyone's advice and recommendations and I tried everything ginger, like biscuits, tea, eating it raw, eating it as sweets. You know, I made muffins one day in the early stages. Yeah, nothing ginger worked, and it's actually put me off ginger since then. Like, ugh, I think I was so desperate, I overdid it with the ginger. And I tried the biscuits. Everyone said try dry crackers, just like nibbling on it. And for a time that did help, like in the early stages when I was still trying to dance, like that's what gave me energy and that's what got me through. Like salt and vinegar, rice crackers or rice cakes were the best. I don't know why, just that sour taste for some reason, which is quite common. So that did help in the beginning. And I was trying to eat like dried fruit and that did stay down for a time. But none of these like worked for long periods. Like I couldn't rely on any of them to get me through or to stay down. I tried to eat like simple foods but nutritious foods like bananas and eggs, and again sometimes they would stay down and sometimes not. So it was hard to find any consistency with what I could eat. One thing that did help for a time, which has nothing to eat, but was limes, sniffing limes. So a bit strange. Yeah, I would just have a lime and I would like scratch it when I just felt like the nausea getting worse and like I was about to be sick. I would just scratch it and sniff that lime. And I think that refreshing smell would sort of calm it down. So I ended up having a lime in my bed, in the bathroom, on the sofa, in my handbag if I did ever venture out, in the kitchen, like everywhere, all around the house, because I needed to sniff it a lot. Unfortunately, it didn't always help, and when I was at my worst, I was like, why aren't you working anymore? So that's too bad, but maybe it'll help you guys if you aren't too bad, and maybe just, yeah, sniffing something will be a good distraction and will help with the nausea and the need to be sick. I also tried those travel sickness bands, you know, those little bands with a little pressure point to put on your wrist, and they did not help at all. I got 2 different pairs just to like try them out and just really like give it my best shot, and unfortunately they didn't do a thing. I tried them at night and during the day, and yeah, didn't make a difference. For fluids, cold, ice cold drinks were the only things I could tolerate, and just sipping. I also eventually, because I wasn't getting enough fluid in or nutrients, at one point I bought some glucose powder off the internet, and I would mix it with water and a little bit of lime juice and made some ice cubes, and I would just suck on those when I sort of felt like I could, or after I'd been sick and I knew I wasn't gonna be sick again for a while. I would like suck on one of those, so I would get a bit of sugar in me and a bit of energy and a bit of fluid. So those are a few things that work for me. Let me know what worked for you guys, if you had any weird random things like my lime sniffing fetish. Yeah, share it in the comment section below. Let others know. Hopefully it will work for other people. And also let me know if you've had any embarrassing morning sickness situations. I think mine was pretty bad, but I'd love to hear what happened to you guys. It's always good when you can laugh about it after the event. I know at the time it was the most dreadful thing, but it's a story to tell, and please tell me your story down below. So please comment, please give this video a like if you did, and share it, and please subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!